Hi, good afternoon. Today is March 10, 2026, and I just wrapped, you know, a nonprofit for 2025 income tax return, and well, I'm still doing sort of things as far as BIR because today is the tax deadline for monthly compliances for 1601C and 0619E. Okay? Okay, so this is Teacher Felbert with Sanctuary for the Istanbul podcast. Okay, so how will I start? Okay, how to talk about this because this is, well, very urgent, what you call this? A topic to talk about because you know, people are, well, a lot of people are actually stigmatizing mental health issues, right? So, I'm 51 years old and I'm a teacher, I'm an artist, filmmaker, a little actor in independent films, and I freelance as internal and external auditor. Okay, so I do, well, forensic accounting from time to time, but I am bona fide PWD, okay? Bipolar disorder. Okay? So back in childhood, okay, we have to go back to what happened to me in my childhood, okay? So I grew up in a very chaotic family. Okay, my father was a chronic alcoholic, violent and drunk, okay? So my mom just stayed at home all the time. So I only have one brother, Chen Li, and our age gap is like 10 years because when I was college, he was like grade school maybe. So I left my hometown in 1991 after graduating in Mount Carmel High School. Okay, so I finished grade school in Baliango Central School and high school in Mount Carmel High School, okay, graduating class valedictorian, okay. So I was like in the community, I used to be SK chairman, and then in high school I used to be class president from first year to fourth year, and then became the student council president, and even like was the president of the Mount Our Lady of Mount Carmel High School Youth Ministry, okay. So, well, I graduated class valedictorian, so that would give me a scholarship in college. So I took up nursing in Misamis University out of my uncle's vehement choosing of my course because he wanted me to go abroad, okay? But, obviously I'm gay, so I'm afraid of blood. Okay, so I told my Chinese uncle that I would just uh, well, quit from nursing, and then maybe my aunt, okay, my mother's sister, who was still single, who is still single at that time, wanted me to take up political science in Dipolog City. Okay, so because mother actually wanted me to be a lawyer. Yeah, probably because she saw me fighting my father all the time. Okay, so there, and when I told my Chinese uncle that I wouldn't be pursuing nursing anymore, he just told me to go to the Saluzames, and then there I took up BS accountancy. Okay, so for the entire college, I only got one columnar notebook. There, I was a BS accountancy student from 1992 to 1995. I finished BS accountancy in March 1995. Okay, so it's like personal consumption. So because I know that's not actually my first choice. My first choice was like writing, talking, and kind of like storytelling. Okay, remember that story of mine about um, about myself running away from home, and every time my father was drunk. Okay, so I would take refuge at my uncle's coconut factory. I would talk to fireflies, a variety of them, beautiful fireflies, and they're like in the dark. Okay, and then I would also talk to boring coconut trees and all the cacao trees that surround the the coconut factory. So within the vicinity. Okay, so there. In high school, I graduated class valedictorian, so I was a staple actually of oratorical contests, some kind of debates and extemporaneous speeches. Okay, so so there. Immediately after that, when I went to a nursing school, well, my English teacher actually I got a flat one for my English because I represented the class in an oratorical contest, and then, it's from among the hundreds, I was one of the top 10, and then, because I shifted to accountancy, and I had to be in La Salle Uzamis. I was surprised that uh, I became, from the very start, a news writer, news editor, features editor, and eventually managing editor of the school paper. Okay, but I also would represent the school in oratorical contests, extemporaneous speech, actually, supposedly for GPIA. So it's all communication skills. I don't know. So, so there, I was like, I was like a debit credit jerk. Okay, so from all the county subjects, I could remember that I got only four subjects that were having or garnering like a grade of like 1.5 to 1.3. That's around 92 about basic accounting, feasibility study, audit theory, and audit practice. Okay. And you know what? No matter how I will tell everybody that I hate accounting, this is actually the one that I'm doing. Okay, so the proximity of doing tax works and accounting and business consulting made me love the kind of job that I have and made me love my BS accountancy course. Okay, so there and so my first job was actually medical representative after college graduation. That was in 1995. So I came to Manila to like had a training in the Ateneo Law School, the one in Makati, and then after like 2 months of intensive training, so I was accepted to be a medical representative and was assigned in Cagayan de Oro. So we were like nine uh, beautiful medical representatives, and I was the only Cebuano or Bisaya among them. So I was assigned in Cagayan de Oro, and I worked there for like 3 years. 2 years, maybe 3 years. Okay, so after 3 years, I don't know. I couldn't actually figure it out what happened and what actually motivated me to go back to Manila. Okay, so when I got back to Manila, so I stayed in my classmates' house and together with my cousin. Okay, so my cousin used to work in Pocketball, and she told me that there's an opening in Obi Montessori as a math teacher. Okay, so I don't know, but she challenged me that because the when Powerball actually shut down, a lot of them actually went to Obi Montessori to apply, and for whatever reason, I don't know. She just told me that I needed to try to apply to actually to gauge and to actually measure how capable I would be, or I could have become, or I would have become. And then luckily I was accepted to be internal auditor. Okay? So I was internal auditor in 1997 at Obi Montessori in Green Hills. Okay, so after that, Uh, After that, like after 2 years or 3 years, I was picked by my internal audit manager who migrated to the US to replace him as a teacher in college. Okay, we did have Obi Montessori college, and so he was teaching. He used to teach inventory management for food tech students. That's equivalent to like HRM, and then accounting for schools. Okay, so I'm not a certified public accountant and I don't have master's degree, so I was not so confident to actually, take care of that teaching. I didn't know that, but because of his enthusiasm, actually prodding, like I could take care of it because I was internal auditor of Ristorante La Dolce Fontana, an Italian restaurant that's actually located at the grounds of Obi Montessori. So he told me I could pull through it. Okay, Georgia Sodral, my internal audit manager, who is a certified public accountant, and he had master's MBA, master's degree from the Ateneo. Okay, so imagine that. Okay, the disparity of and knowing that the professors in the Obi Montessori College are actually people with names. One example of a teacher there is Congresswoman, what she called this? Yeah, the mother of Senator Jesus Cordero. Okay, and then there are a lot yet, and yeah. So there, I did teach there for like 3 years. I was thinking that I would only teach for a semester because, I just replacements for a while, but when the president and CEO and the college dean, Professor Sullivan, actually sat to, you know, to observe me in my class. So, she got my envelope, and then she got my envelope, and then proceeded to the HR department and telling everyone and asking everyone who actually didn't want teacher Felbert, Mr. Go, to teach. Well, he's capable to teach, actually. Okay, so I think that's the one thing that's empowering as far as you know, becoming a teacher. Okay, so in Obi Montessori, actually, you don't need to be an education graduate to be a teacher because there's like a 2 year intensive training, Montessori training. Okay, so I think from among teachers in grade school and high school, they become regular after 2 years of residency as far as being a teacher is concerned. And since I was internal auditor and a college teacher, I follow like that 6 month, what you call this, probationary period, and but I was not exempted to be included in the Montessori training. Okay, so in the Montessori training for 6 months, we were handled by the riveting, by the very beautiful PSS, we call Patricia Sullivan, and she's so good a teacher and educator, Montessori inspired educator, that somehow, I think everyone was, including maybe her daughter and son-in-law, are intimidated of her. Okay, so there. So in the Montessori training for 6 months, it's always like it's in a Saturday morning, so there was no occasion in the training that she was absent. Okay, so we were taught how to talk. Okay, we were taught how to, by Dale Carnegie, we were taught how to express ourselves. And there's also the basic Montessori training. We were taught what Montessori is all about, who was the founder of the Montessori system of education in the Philippines, in the world, Maria Montessori. And we were also made to read, okay, the column of Max Sullivan in Philippine Star, by the way. Okay, So it's not just like actually knowing and learning about Montessori, but it's actually, trying to make us a beautiful people as far as like, expressing yourself, okay, writing and talking at the same time. Okay, so when you are in the Montessori training and she handles you, expect that you could somehow pee in your panty. That's just terrible teacher, but she's very, very good in terms of like bringing out, empowering you to become the person that you want to become. I think it's all like drumming you because you needed to be someone that you deserve. Okay, because well, she's thinking that because we're in her school, then she expects us to be like okay as far as like communication, very good in communication skills, maybe. Okay, so there. So in the middle of like the monster training, actually, yeah, I guess after 2 years, yeah, in my third year. So there's this offer uh, to take up professional education. It's an 18 unit professional education course in Obi Montessori, where we were handled by people from Dep Ed. Okay, so I would say this that from among all the subjects in the proof ed course that I did take at Obi Montessori, my grade in classroom management and all that, which was handled by Carol Guerrero, Dr. Carol Guerrero. Hi, mom, wherever you are, I love you. Okay, she gave me a 94. Okay, she told me I am Albert Einstein of Obi Montessori. Anyway, she was proud of me after learning that I became a filmmaker, and I actually sought help from her that our film, Sped Hearts, okay, about special children, could be published in the website of DepEd, and it did happen. But it wasn't actually rolled to the all schools in the Philippines because I had a contract with Ivory Records. Okay, so well, she's excited that I would be doing Hindi nagkukubli ang buwan sa gabing matala. It's about reverse woman empowerment. Okay, talking about alternative learning system of education, which she was spearheading during the time. She sat as like as director of DepEd. Okay, so there. I don't know. I'm always like talking. If I don't talk, people kind of discovered me, yeah, and made me teach and made me like talk. Okay, so when I left OB in 2000, so I became a teacher. So after a year of like taking up prof ed, we were actually asked to take the licensure exam for teachers. I passed, and then eventually I was teaching. Then I taught at STI colleges in the old STI in Cubao and the new one in Pitwazon and in STI BGC or the fourth that's across Market, and I did teach at Montessori Child Research Center Inc. Okay, it's the one in Loyola Heights. It's across Ateneo. Okay, so it's owned by, well, it used to be co-owner of Obi Montessori also, the cousin of Preciosa Sullivan, Josefa Kyoge. Okay, Ma'am Josie actually graduated via psychology in a very prestigious university in Manila. Okay, she traveled the world to study about Montessori, and I did teach there as like I did teach her for 2 years, I guess, teaching practical math to a mix of kids with special needs, kids with autism, ADHD, ADD, together with regular normal kids. Okay, so I was witness how special children were behaving, and it's fresh as far as I am concerned, vivid memory to recall episodes and scenes in that class or in that school for like 2 years. In fact, I was inspired by being a sped teacher. Okay, I was inspired. That's why I decided to make a film about it. Okay, so I made a film in 2010 that starred Shara Soto and Danica Soto as like lead cast. Okay, I picked Sharon Soto because she's a graduate of OB Montessori. Okay, so there with Miss Josie Josephat Goget to have headed the writing team, myself, teacher Amy, teacher Josie, we were able to actually finish the film, wrap the film, although there were actually deviations from the original script. That's alright. We could always refurbish that one, but yeah, I think we did a good job out of it. Okay, so there. So after I left Obi Montessori, I freelanced as like internal external auditor. So the external auditor of Obi Montessori, the then Lida Tamayo actually, got me to like work with her on a per project basis together with Vilma Altea. Okay, um, Mrs. Tamayo was a trailblazer from Sisip Gores and Valayo or SGB. Okay, well, unfortunately, she died. She died already, but she was attacked by that monster we call dementia at very early age, like 62. Okay, so her brilliance actually were put to no use when such at retirement age, and so sad an experience. Okay, that's why me and Ate Vilma actually doing internal and external auditing these days. We are not actually trying to be, following Mrs. Tamayo, who usually did the work like when the taxes line is approaching. Okay, so what else? And then after I left OB Montessori, I freelanced internal external auditor, and I was like retainer accountants of some corporations and individuals, and until such a time, okay, that I did work as like production accountant of Hill Cortez, the late Hill Cortez, three of his films that I was actually introduced to Love Diaz by the people that I work with in the production of Hill Cortez. Okay, so I became Love Diaz's production accountant. Okay, and as his retainer accountant since 2006. Okay, so there, if I would say that Love Diaz was actually, I don't know, I didn't know that I was a features editor in the school paper and in college, and and yeah, but he knew that I was a teacher at OB Montessori and college, and just because he could speak the dialect, so we kind of like hung out together. And one of the nights, drunken nights maybe, no, it's not really drunken nights. So he told me, or he actually did tell me that, Felbert, I think you could be a filmmaker. Okay, my verbosity could not be contained. Okay, I always speak from, and I laugh so loud because I'm Messiah, and yeah, and there, and then he was so fascinated, actually, like laughed about my formality about myself being a queer guy who fell in love with somebody, and then that very reality that I told him I did call the guy for like 144 times, and he did not answer, and I toured Cubao to actually find him, and he laughed out so loud, rolling loud, yeah, feeling like, I don't know, but he was actually not really impressed. He was like, yeah, actually that made him decide that I think I had to do my first script, okay, revolving around that story. Okay, so I think Love Tears got me discovered. Sorry guys, yeah. Yeah, I did work on my script. It took me like a year to wrap. My friends actually did tell me, you did need to actually listen to Love Diaz because you could become a litap tap. And I researched about it. A litap tap is a firefly. And remember that I was talking to the fireflies back in grade school, back in childhood. Okay, so Well, when I did work on my script and actually filmed my first film, Hickby, well, I developed sense of like, oh come on, this gives me joy. Okay, yeah, okay, this gives me joy, and this is, I feel like this is the one that I love doing. Okay, well, it still involves writing and talking at the same time. So there, joy. Well, I have this three pens and a whiteboard because, like what I said, I'm a teacher. Okay, so we have to talk about joy. Okay, happiness is not joy in the same way that a job is not a career. Okay, spontaneity is not eloquence. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when I did have my prof ed course in OB Montessori, we had to observe our Montessori children, our Montessori kids in a classroom setup. Okay, there was a subject that had to allow us to actually observe the children. Okay, 3 to 6 years old children. Okay, so remember that kids are noisy and you know don't have discipline and they quarrel from each other all the time. But when I did have my first classroom experience in Montessori, I was in awe of what I saw because there's never like a whiteboard or a blackboard for that matter, but there were so many materials surrounding the kids in the classroom, and the kids are gonna like stand up after actually putting their bags in, well, in the bag area, so they would actually engage in that activity that they like, and they're like two teachers, a Montessori teacher and an assistant teacher at the same time. So the Montessori teacher actually observes the children. Okay, so they're like 15, 20 kids. Okay, and there's an assistant also that actually facilitates, like you know uh, there's actually an assistant teacher that facilitates the learning process from whatever the activity of the children or the kid. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, the children when they are actually doing what they love to do, there's concentration, there's discipline, there's grit, like passion is there, concentration, love for work, and all that. Okay, so in our Montessori training, because uh, we were like taught of the tenets of Maria Montessori and Montessori system of education. We were taught about this, or we were actually presented with this discovery by Maria Montessori. Maria Montessori, by the way, was a medical doctor in psychiatry. Okay, she founded the Montessori system of education like 100 years ago. She died already 100 years ago as well, I think. Okay, so but her system, okay, her method or discovery is still alive until today. Okay, so in fact, all schools from private, public high school system, actually grade school at the same time, from Canada, from the US, from the UK, wherever in the world, okay, they are actually transitioning to Montessori, okay? So remember that I'm a LaSalle graduate from LaSalle Uzamis, okay? So having to hurdle or finish BS accountancy, my brains are like, yeah, bleeding. Okay, so in Montessori, however, because the core of Montessori is like man makes himself. Okay, we drum up the human spirit. Okay, to be able to have that learner student find his strength, his core. Okay, his truth. Okay, so there. So I have to like do this. Okay, so we were taught about a Montessori tree. Okay, so Maria Montessori, who propounded that normalization is achieved by work. It's like this. So this is like, I don't know how to draw, but yeah, it's like this. Okay, so this is a tree. Okay, so there is concentration, love for work, there is discipline. Okay, so here at the bottom, actually, she talks about joy. Okay, so simply put, to be happy, well, you're happy today because you still have a little money. Tomorrow, well, you still have money, you still are happy. Next day, maybe you still are happy. But when you don't have money anymore, you're not happy anymore. Okay? But when you love what you're doing, okay? When you love what you're doing, because you follow your heart, okay? You can experience joy. Okay? So this is like fruits of normalization. So remember that Maria Montessori was a medical doctor in psychiatry. So she kind of like propounded this or concocted like all her brain works and all that from her mind of course, because she was a medical doctor in psychiatry. Okay, so she said, okay, fruits of normalization. Okay, so remember that she was a medical doctor in psychiatry and upon opportunity to take care of special children in a slum in Italy. No, actually in a hospital. Uh, she discovered that when kids are given works that they love to do, just like what they call focus, concentration, love for work and all that. Okay? That's why she decided to what you call this open a Montessori school, okay, in a slum in Italy. Okay, so our inculcation of Montessori here in the Philippines and wherever the world is, it's an elitist school for kindergarten. It's not actually true. Okay, so fruits of normalization. She said that normalization, okay, normalization now is achieved via work. Okay. So remember, back to that classroom that I had the opportunity to observe, okay, with the Montessori children. Okay, the experience was engulfing because I did not expect the children could be so concentrated on what they're doing because from what I learned and from what I observed from children, they're actually quarrelsome, they're actually noisy, talkative, and running from each, running from one place to another. Okay, but when I was there, actually, I was like in awe of what I saw, and that made me actually love Maria Montessori. Okay, so to be able to like when you say normalization, it does not mean that you're abnormal if you don't have work. So when I had 1 year depression, like a couple of years ago, because I was bipolar, yeah, I actually researched about it. Okay, so the work probably that she's actually referencing on this. Okay, you have to translate it to like adults. Okay, or the experience like status quo at the present. Okay, so it's actually the work that you'll have to do. Okay, so remember this. Okay, it's a reality until now. Actually, here in the Philippines, even in provinces, actually it's more elaborate and pronounced that somehow parents are actually choosing, okay, the courses of the children. They don't have actually respect as far as like the kids are concerned. Okay, because in Montessori, yeah, 3 to 6 years old kindergarten actually, the concentration and the concentration of the kids as actually was illustrious. So that's why there are two teachers because they actually document what the student is actually doing during the time. Okay, so and parent-teacher conference is actually like too often, but in traditional schools we only have our parent-teachers conference like once a year, and we kind of like just have to do like voting for set of officers. In Montessori it's not like that. Okay, so the parents, your parents and the teachers are actually like trying to have a conversation about what the students actually doing during the class and all that. So if the student is actually interested into arts, for example, you don't need to actually coerce that child or student to take up medicine, or because you're a lawyer, a brilliant lawyer, you have to follow me, or we are brilliant lawyers, your Lolo and Lola are judges, and so you're supposed to be a lawyer as well. But anyway, the child is just interested in to be becoming a makeup artist. So when the student is not actually afforded and not allowed to be, you're a disgrace of the family, and then, well, what happened to the child is commit suicide. Okay, so there. Okay, first of normalization work. Okay, this is one of the basic tenets of Montessori system of education. Okay, and there's another one. And this is the famous, okay, you have to put it here. This is the famous triangle. Okay, so in traditional school, it's always like the teacher actually spoon feeds whatever that she learns or she has in her lesson plan, actually spoon feeds to the students. Okay, the students maybe are not interested, but they have to like, do some some coercing that they have to learn the course. But in Montessori, actually, we have to have your student, okay, learner we call. And here is the prepared environment. Here is the teacher acting as facilitator. Okay, so how does the student learn? Okay, so the teacher actually, and a very spontaneous kind of activity, in a classroom activity, in a Montessori class, the teacher actually just observes and facilitates what the student is actually doing from the prepared environment. Actually, these are the materials that are, that are intentionally put in there so that the teacher can actually observe, practical life activity, zoology, art, whatever, all aspects of humankind and all that. So there, student learner prepared environment. Okay, now, so you can't actually force or influence the student to actually like do or engage in another activity, especially if the child or the Montessori student actually, is still doing the activity like for like a couple of days, okay, until such a time that she gets it right. Okay, that's where the tension lives. There's no coercion. The teacher cannot actually coerce or influence that you proceed to another activity. Okay, so like for example, if there's an activity that the student is not comfortable doing and has kind of like confusion to actually how to engage into it, the teacher, facilitator actually, facilitates that you have to do this and that, okay, to be able to complete the activity and learn from it. Okay, so in other words, it's apparent or it's obvious that in Montessori, experience is the best teacher because you have to manipulate, actually hold the materials to be able to learn. Like for example, today, like if you have a new gadget, okay, a new cell phone, for example, you will never learn from it until such a time that you actually, hold it and, make aral of it. Okay, so it's there. Experience is the best teacher. Okay, so remember that the core of Montessori is man makes himself. Okay, so in the ages 3 to 6 years old, in the kindergarten, in a Montessori class, okay, There's like crucial observation of the children, because if you if you coerce the children or the Montessori children to stop it and engage into another activity because that's what you wanted, okay, in a traditional school that's always happening, especially with kids like that, okay, but they're in Montessori, teachers or adults actually respect the choices of the children. Okay, so from there, when the teacher actually observes or documents that this particular Montessori student is actually doing this all the time, so you have to tighten that, and you have to say it or express or have during the conversation between you, the teacher, and the parent. You have to stress that to the parent, and the teacher will actually ask what happened to your children or to your daughter or son in the house. What is it doing? Okay, so once there's like what you call this, okay, yeah, oh come on, my student is actually doing this, and so when they agree from each other, reconcile that it's the same activity that actually the student is doing in the house, then it's apparent and obvious that that's bata is interested into a particular something. Okay, so there's nothing that you need to do but to support the child. Okay, so like Leah Salonga, for example, she graduated class valedictorian in Obi Montessori. Okay, so no wonder she became best actress for Miss Saigon in London. She got the Tony and Olivier awards. Okay, because from the very start when she was in Obi Montessori, I did not actually. Well, I used to work with her dad because yeah, because of Mapinto Bajan Temple Shrine, where I was an accountant. Okay, and then, well, that's the reason I actually also pursued my application in Obi Montessori, because I learned when I was high school, actually, or college first year. Lesa Longa, I'm a huge fan of her. She's my therapist. I don't know. She's just superb, and she's just like, I could die when I see her in person. So there, yeah, here, the Montessori triangle. Okay, so okay, remember that you cannot coerce, you cannot influence the student to actually do this until such assignment is done. What I'm saying is you have to respect the choices of that Montessori students in a class. Okay, so remember that I was a SPED teacher in a Montessori school also. Okay, so there, I did observe that our students who are special children, when they are confronted to be, actually doing another activity that they don't like, they actually, what you call this, get out from the class and talk to the skies, they regress. Okay, in other words, whatever that child, special child maybe, is doing, then probably that child is interested into something. Okay, that's their special genius actually. Okay, so well, we know about meds, psychiatrists actually issuing or prescribing meds for special children. Okay, the ones with autism, the ones with ADHD and ADD. Okay, so that can help. Okay, that can help, but they cannot alter. Okay, they cannot alter choices and things that the kids are actually wanting to do and love doing. Okay, so remember. So this, well, I was only diagnosed as a bipolar case when I was 49 years old. Remember that I was a teacher. Okay, during the pandemic, yeah, it was online. I was facilitated by the Artist Welfare to actually talk to a psychiatrist online. Okay, so I was like, yeah, told, well, not official diagnosis, like because there was no laboratory done. So the psychiatrist told me that probably I could be ADHD or ADHD and those bipolar. Okay, so he documented about my childhood, and well, because I speak very fast and I speak like there's no period or whatever, kilometric, dal, and yeah, and he told me that that's why I could not be figured out as like having a disability. Okay, there. But until I became 49 years old, okay, so the bipolar disability had to manifest, okay? So, like any bipolar case all over the world, okay, we consummate our disability with a suicide, not a contemplated suicide. And I did suicide for like 2 times, but I survived, luckily. Okay? So there. So I always say this. I always say this because that's what I observe and that's what I experience. Okay, so I want to make this clear, but because I'm a Montessori inspired teacher, graduated from OB Montessori, an authentic leading Montessori school in the Philippines, so I am capable to teach in a school where there are special children. Why? Because Maria Montessori, who founded the Montessori system of education, was a medical doctor in psychiatry. Okay? So, because we follow in OB Montessori and in Montessori Filipino Child Research Center, okay, a very authentic, okay, very authentic leading Montessori school also, okay, where the Montessori directresses, Josefa Gyoge and Brescia Sullivan, are trailblazers of Montessori education here in the Philippines. Okay, in yeah, I could remember that in OB Montessori, we were actually mainstreaming students with special needs. Okay, but the ones in Montessori Filipino Research Center Inc. There were like a lot of special children. Okay, that's probably the reason why they love me so much. And every time I go to the class during that time, they would tell me, "I love you, teacher Felbert." At random, maybe they could feel I am one of them. You could see a father, what you call this, tito, whatever. Okay? So in my class with this group of children, I am daddy, I am kuya. Okay? In OB Montessori, I was Mr. Go because I had to be Mr. Go. Yeah, in SDI, when I first taught in 2000, I was Mr. Go also. But when I came back, and even in SDI, BGC was Mr. Go, but when I came back, I am Samantha. Okay? Yeah. And what I'm saying is, yeah, because I'm the teacher, I'm not supposed to, but there's not like, because I'm a teacher, you have to respect me, because I'm a queer teacher and all that. No, because respect is not imposed. Okay, you have to earn it. Okay, so there. So what I'm saying is, remember that I love writing and talking at the same time. So that made me become a teacher, maybe. And God actually, because that's what we call God works in mysterious ways. Because no matter all, Felbert actually graduated BS accountancy, but I gifted him with all these things. Okay, that's why maybe he kind of like, got me to like teaching so that I can actually, use my talents. Okay? So there, I'm not surprised actually. Even my classmates back in high school and even in nursing school and in La Salle Zames, they were not actually surprised me turning into or becoming an artist filmmaker because they know very well that I am like that even when I was college. Okay? So there, but Since I'm a BS accountancy graduate and doing film, well, luckily my kind of art is into writing and filmmaking, so it's very expensive to make a film. Okay, so I just don't like joining, script fests so that I can make a film, because to be honest, I'm a hardcore artist filmmaker. Okay, probably that makes me difficult. Okay, because I don't like to be taught. Because I've been writing for such a long time. I've been storytelling since I was a kid. Okay, so there and what you call this? Oh, this is like passion and all that. But I finished BS accountancy, and doing a film is expensive, and I don't like to entice non-studio producers to actually invest in my film. But there's no like return of investment. No way. So I don't like to be called a fraud. Okay, there are so many filmmakers in the Philippines that are actually doing that. Okay, so I don't like to be into mainstream filmmaking as well, because I don't like my name to be written there as a director, for example, or writer, but I'm not. But the core of the film is actually the one that I wanted. Okay, so there. So I just waited for my money from a heist so that I could make a film again, wrap the film about woman empowerment, reverse woman empowerment. Hindi nagkukubli ang buwan sa gabing matala. Okay, with Megan Aguilar, and I had to wrap In Loving Memory of My Mother. Okay, well, luckily the first two ones, the baby films that I had were actually distributed by Ivory Records in 2006. Yeah, until 2015. And yeah, and I became a little actor after that. Okay, so there, and well, like what I said, I'm running away from doing tax and business consulting. Okay, but this is actually the one that puts food on the table. Okay, the proximity of doing tax and business consulting works on a daily basis makes me love my profession. Okay, so I realize also that God must have prepared me to have all those four subjects, the top grade when I was in college, because I had to use that later on. Yeah, I think my mom must have been praying a lot. My family in the Paglinawan side could have you know, stormed the heavens to actually guide me and my brother. Okay, so but we actually realize when the difference between me and my brother is quiet and all that. So we suffer from, obviously we suffer from generational trauma, and myself being quarrelsome as early as like when I was 6 years old. I had to fight my dad every now and then. Okay, so that's why I got bruises all the time. I had to make up, make pass to the school, and still finish high school as class valedictorian. Okay? So what I'm saying is the proximity of the works that I do on a daily basis makes me love work already. So it's a myth. It's a myth that people say that distance makes the heart grow fonder. It's not true. Okay? Distance actually makes the heart forget. Okay, remember all those stories, that went abroad, the husband actually. So after a year or so, the husband doesn't know that he got a family back home. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? Because the girlfriend actually there in Saudi Arabia or wherever in the world. So it's like always together. So there's a chance that you develop feelings from each other. Okay? So there. So yeah. So right now, I am a repertoire of so many persona. Okay, I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, and I'm an artist filmmaker. I'm a little actor sometimes. I I'm offered to play in a role, yeah, something like that. And yeah, as freelance as internal and external auditor, I handle various corporate tax clients. individuals who are artists, doctors, filmmakers, engineers, architects, and all that, and various industries from the corporate world. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm happy that I can do this without actually, trying to follow 9 to 6 or 8 to 5 office time. Okay, so there. But I'm aware that I'm bipolar. So after studying my disability, I learned that I'm depressed every day. So now I understand why I had to suffer a 1 year depression in the past. Okay, so now that I learned about my disability, because I studied about it, there are so many tools now that you can actually learn from. The YouTube is so generous. Okay, you don't need to pay a psychiatrist that charges 3,000 to 5,000 an hour, okay, just to, well, you needed a prescription. All their prescriptions were actually helping me, but right now, so from opiate, self-medication, from Seroquel, quetiapine, that almost killed me, from Ritalin, that's for ADHD, it's a cocaine derivative, to the last prescription, actually, yeah, I finished it, but I don't like it. And the last one is a meth derivative, okay, Concerta. And I had a tendency, like the last one, I had a tendency to actually swallow 5 or 4. So I'm afraid I could die of overdose. Okay? So I'm aware about my disability and about how I have to handle this. Okay? So sorry, I respect people from, the actual psychiatrists, the ones that actually prescribe me. Thank you for all those prescriptions. Yeah, ketamine actually was, offered to me as like, for a year, but I consumed it like for 2 years, and yeah, I was afraid to die. And if I could be put to oblivion by taking 1/3 of the 300 milligrams, the 100 milligram, I could sleep like 48 hours. Okay, but the last time that I did swallow one, I almost died. Really? So I decided to actually, what you call this, stop from swallowing all these pills. Okay, so what I'm saying is, remember, I have had like 5 psychiatrists, four now, and the fifth one is the popping psychiatrist that I love very much. Okay, so it's Maria Montessori, Dr. Maria Montessori, who said that normalization is achieved by work. It's the work that you love to do. Okay? It's never cliche. Remember this. When I say that you can never be a better person when you don't follow what you love doing, it's a cliche. It's a reality. Okay? When you say what you love doing, it's actually something that's coming from the heart. Okay? So the heart is never mediocre. The heart cannot be wrong. Okay? So because no matter how brilliant you are, intellectual, and have a bipolar mind that can concoct everything, the mind is mediocre and sometimes deceptive. Okay? So I don't know, but I guess Maria Montessori, who kind of like discovered this, that you have to, allowing that somebody to follow what he loves doing, it becomes his truth. And there's nothing as spiritual a journey as far as life's journey is concerned when you allow somebody to be the person they wanted to be. Remember this. So, well, I even have like a psychiatrist tax client and all that. And because I was a medical representative for 3 years, I spoke to a lot of doctors. Okay, but realizing after all these things, I have quite a conclusion that the best, yeah, that not really the best, but I survive life. Remember that bipolar cases like me, like that daughter of Kim Atienza, di ba? We plateau every time. Okay, so no matter how privileged you are, intellectual and bright you are, so all that, there's really a time because you're depressed every day that your template, you plateau from thinking of life, and there's no optimism, there's no like enthusiasm to engage into something. Okay, that's why this ability that's so lethargic, that's so dangerous. And yeah, so no wonder when I do things and I'm bored, so I kind of like go out and look for, yeah, I dance and all that. Nobody can stop me because I needed to survive. Okay, because even if you study about bipolar disorder, the ones that have it are actually did kill themselves once or twice and survived. Even like a tax client supposedly was a doctor, was a medical doctor also. She's 32 years old and she's bipolar. She committed suicide twice and she survived. Okay? Like myself, I only swallowed 30, she swallowed 100. Sabi niya sa akin, ate, ang gaganda natin huwag na tayo magpakamatay. Okay? Because it's like oblivion. It's like nandiyan limbo, oblivion, and we don't see enthusiasm, we kill ourselves. And I don't want to experience that again. Okay? So remember this. You can never be a good person until you follow what you love doing. And following what you love doing is actually following your heart. Okay? So when you follow your heart, you don't need to actually listen from anyone because the heart doesn't actually speak as loud as I am. Okay? The heart is silent. It's deafening and it's the only person, you as a human being entity, that can listen to it. Okay? Yeah. And when you listen to it and you try to make it happen, you kind of like live even in the next lifetime happy, not miserable. Okay? Happy. Happy every single day of your life because you have joy. You can only have joy when you follow your heart. Remember that. Okay? So I think I've spoken a lot, and I think it's like, I don't know, it's an hour, almost an hour that I'm speaking and talking. So I have to wrap this, okay? So because I have to go to Cubao yet. Okay? So this is Teacher Felbert again. I'm Sanctuary for the Stumble podcast. I'm 51 years old, okay? So I'm turning 52 on April 15. Okay, so it's a tax deadline. That's probably the reason why. I consider this a destiny to be doing this because my birthday is April 15. And I'm an artist filmmaker. I'm a little actor. Okay, I'm always invited to be appearing in independent films. I am freelancing as internal and external auditor, and I can do forensic accounting at the same time. So, well, like what I said, I am a repertoire of so many persona, and I'm supposed to be, yeah, that's my template. And I don't know, but I have to like tie it in this doctor consult by Felbert Pigo into tax and business consulting, into SPED and academics tutoring from kinder to college, and filmmaking and other art engagements and all the others that you want me to do. We can talk about it. Okay? We really can talk about it. Okay? So there. I'm doing this because I want you guys to like awaken, and be aware that when you do what you love doing, there's no question of like can you be happy today or not. When I started, when I got obsessed with Maria Montessori, who told me that, there's joy at the bottom of what you love doing. I never told anyone that, I'm not happy anymore. Okay? Yung lungkot ko, lungkot-lungkutan lang. But there's a template because I am bipolar that I'm depressed, but it doesn't mean that, I don't see enthusiasm anymore because, like what I said, the proximity of doing these things made me love my work. So there. In fact, I have these retirement dream plans and goals to like become a signing auditor, and my friends actually told me to not delay it. But I'm 51, so I told them, please give me like until 55. Okay, so I still have great dream plans. I'm 51, and I wanted to be a town leader. Okay, so when I become a signing auditor, I can go to my hometown and back to Cubao every now and then. Okay. So I don't know, until such time that maybe I can make or win a lottery that can happen. But God will not allow that. Okay, God will give you like kind of you have to persevere with life. Okay, because that's about it. Okay, so hi Cubao, miss you already. I'm gonna see you a little later, and good night. Bye bye.